am not the Nobel Peace Prize. It is an award that went to myself and the tens of thousands of people around the world who work together to bring about change and ban anti-personnel landmines. I remain, Jody Williams, a grassroots activist. I do not think I am more important. I'm gonna have to take my shoes off. I'm sorry, people. It's too hot in here, and when I'm at home, I don't wear shoes, so. I'm just another grassroots activist. Anybody can change the world, and as you have heard from the other women, some of them have tackled things that blow my mind. I'm serious. I'm humbled to be in the company of such women. But I have to say, I'm not supposed to be talking about this, but I don't care. I know women around the world from the most poor places I have ever seen who have had the courage to stand up to armies and win. I wear this in honor of all of the women in the world who are unarmed civilians. I think most of us are aware that today it is considered that at least 80% of all casualties in war are women and children. But I know some of those women, and they are not just casualties, they are survivors. They have empowered themselves to help other women overcome the horrors of war. I wear this for them. I'm going to try to do a little slideshow. I have to say I do not do this, so I may make a mess, and if it does, I'm sorry in advance. In the year 2000, the UN Security Council issued Resolution 1325. Some of you here may know about it. In it, it did recognize the suffering of women in war. Everybody knows that. What was different is that in that resolution, they also recognized that it is women who struggle to maintain family, community, and a semblance of peace, even in the worst days of war. Then, the men of the Security Council mandated that we should be allowed to be part of peace negotiations, peace building, and trying to stop the violence. I don't know why a man has to allow me to do that. In fact, I've never been allowed, I just do. I am a human being. Any woman. One of the barriers we're still having trouble crushing is that of women's serious involvement in security. I think we need a new definition of what security is in today's world, this globalized world. And I think by using that pie chart of my country's budget, it gives a little bit of an idea. You can either focus on human beings and making them secure in their environment, thus making your communities and home a more secure place, or you can continue to follow the myth that national security is supreme, and that if the nation is secure, its people are. They don't care about the people. I'm not lying. They care about the power that weapons and war gives them, and they care about maintaining it. In my country, Mr. Trump, yes, I won't go there because then I would only be talking about Mr. Trump. It's not my fault I did not vote for him. I won't go on because I could really get rough. You'll notice on the right side of that lovely budget that military expenditures make up 61% of our budget. I can't even wrap my brain around that. And then I think it's 7% more for veterans benefits. Those are the things I think are cool, because people have been sent to war to die and be mutilated, while the men who send them to war do not see their children going. So this means that war and the aftermath of war takes up 68% of the budget of the United States of America. Mind-blowing. We only give 2% for diplomacy. What does that tell us about what we care about in terms of security? We care about weapons and war. 5% to health and 5% to education, and everybody knows that what makes a nation strong is the education of its people. So I want to change that. I want to see that national security framework shift to human security. I would like to see the budget totally flipped. Well, maybe I wouldn't even give them anything, but that's a lie. That's a lie, because I do believe there is a place for the military and a place for police. If we were all saints, we wouldn't need either, but that ain't the case. One of the things that I'm working on now is something that Aditi was talking about, robots. But her kind of robots are lovely. The kind that me and my colleagues are working to stop are not lovely at all. They are killer robots. Whenever I talk about killer robots, people think I'm talking about the Predator or the Reaper. I'm not sure which one they look alike. But note the name, Predator, Reaper of Death, right? This thing, you can see the missiles under its wing. This thing can fly autonomously for thousands of miles. And then it sees something, and the guy sitting back safe, the pilot, is looking at his computer screen, and he sees something that he thinks is a little suspicious, so he sends the drone down to look at what it might be. And then if he thinks it's an appropriate target, or if he thinks it might be a terrorist, I'm not joking. In my country, you can kill someone that might be a terrorist. He fires the Hellfire missiles and blasts them to smithereens. That is a drone. A human being is making the target and kill decisions. A killer robot does not have any human involvement. None. Somebody programs, codes, I guess. Somebody codes a program that will fly that thing by itself. It will make a target and kill decision, well, not decision, it's programmed, on its own. When I learned about that, I completely freaked. I am not exaggerating. I grew up in the Cold War and the nuclear, I had the nuclear threat in my genes. But when I learned about countries who are willing to create weapons that on their own can target and kill human beings, I wondered, what is wrong with humanity? That is pretty messed up. Such weapons violate the laws of war. They cannot discriminate between a combatant and a civilian. How would you know if the combatants are hiding among civilians? How would that machine pick it out? They cannot be accountable. Let's say that machine does a war crime. Who's accountable? You certainly can't bring the Predator into the court. Is it the programmer? Is it the company that built it? Who's accountable? If there is no accountability, you are breaking international law. These things will be on the air, in the land, in the air, on the land, and in the sea, and also have satellite connection. Think about that. But it is not all doom and gloom. In my kitchen in around 2008, when I discovered that these weapons are soon to be the Model T of autonomous weapon systems. We call them killer robots. I started nagging my husband that we should have to get friends together and create a campaign to stop killer robots. It took me, honestly, months of nagging him. His name is Steve Goose. He is the director of the ARMS, as in Weapon Division of Human Rights Watch. I met him and fell in love with him banning landmines. Yeah, he's brilliant and cute. I like him a lot. But it took a while because he's been banning cluster bombs. He's been banning, I don't know, he works on so many weapons it gives me a headache. But I said, we gotta fit one more in. This is considered the third revolution in warfare. The first was gunpowder. The second was the atomic bomb. If these things are deployed, that's the third revolution in warfare. But we got friends, different NGOs that we have worked with on campaigns to ban, such as the campaign to ban landmines in 1997, the campaign against cluster bombs, 2008, the new treaty banning the nuclear weapons has a long way to go, but at least there's a framework, in 2007. We agreed that we were not going to sit back and let a passless scientist and the so-called defense industry, which makes so much money off this stuff, I can't even begin to count it. We were not going to let them do this without raising a stink. And we have had a lot of success. See if I do this right. I come here from Berlin last week, where 100 campaigners came together to strategize about our ongoing work. Then I was just in Geneva, where diplomats are talking about doing nothing on killer robots. Working in the UN in negotiations about weapons, it is not fun. The only number I would take issue with now is the 4,500 artificial intelligence experts. There are now tens of thousands of scientists, roboticists, programmers, etc., in 26 some odd countries around the world who are saying no to using what they learned, the artificial intelligence, the coding, for the military, not allowing themselves to be tarnished the way people like Einstein tarnished themselves and gave nuclear physics a bad name that still hangs over nuclear physics. And it is pretty amazing. Not thousands. From some companies, people, mostly women, no offense to the gentlemen, have resigned because they will not participate in creating killer robots. That's pretty amazing. Do you want to live in a world with killer robots? Then talk to your government, because it's considering getting them. I'm not joking. I want you to imagine fighter jets from the United States swarming. They're not just thinking one or two, swarms, approaching fighter jets from Russia. Ponder it. We do not know their programming. They do not know ours. There is no way, unless you go to war, to test what will happen when they engage. Nobody has any idea, and yet these men are willing to move ahead to create these. It is insane, it is immoral, it is unethical. We need to take that money that goes to weapons of war and put it to the greater good of humanity so that we can live in sustainable peace with each other. We have to stop allowing politicians, religious leaders, political parties to teach us to hate the other. Who is the other? To you, I am the other. To me, you are part of humanity. I refuse to accept anyone as an other. I refuse to allow my country to continue doing this without intense protest. Please stop India before it starts. If you want more information, ta-da, that was in front of the Brandenburg Gate when we were in Berlin. It says, ban killer robots. That has also been done in front of the White House. Where did we first? Oh, it was done in front of the UN. And we let people borrow those outfits and, do an activity in support of banning killer robots. If you want information, that's who we are. Thank you.